Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the continuing deep dive into the Thousand and One Nights, or the Thousand Nights and One Night, or the Arabian Nights, or whatever you want to call it.
Layla wa Layla.
So I'm joined again today by James at Quaint and Curious Volumes, last two men standing, and we are going to go through putatively nights 144 to 207
Yes.
of the Arabian Nights. Now, according, I think, to the reading model, we've got another year of this. So around this time,
Yes.
July 2026, we will be talking about the last set
Right.
of tales from the Arabian Nights. But we've still got some way to go. I mean, in terms of the books, I am now after today finished with volume one.
Okay.
I am about 50 pages into volume two, and I've got another 100 or so pages for July's reading, which will take us up to, what is it, 277.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of your volumes, because you're on a 3-volume translation.
Yes. So I'm still in volume one, and this one goes through. So I will have another month in this volume, because I think that the original Sean D. Standfast plan was to read about 150 pages of this set per month. So that would take us to about night 278 next month, and then there's another 50 pages in this volume before it goes on to the volume 2. Now, there's a weird thing about this set, is that at the end of this volume, there's the story of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves on its own.
Okay.
So I don't know if that is in the Mardris and Mather set that you have.
So that's after Night Witch one?
That is after.
Whilst James may have frozen for a moment there. Whilst he's done that, I will say hello to Elaine, who has popped in and may pop back again soon. Okay. Hello, Elaine. Hope you are okay and enjoying what you're doing and enjoying the weather. Still no James. I hope it's him that's frozen and not me, so I'm not just talking to myself. But we'll wait to see if he comes back. In the meantime,
We're back.
hello.
Hi.
So yeah, sorry. When does Alibaba start? 'Cause I don't think I've.
It's after night 294.
Okay, so oddly enough, I've not got Alibaba. Night 94. I'm in one of the Sinbad the Sailor.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll have to find out where Alibaba does crop up in this. Alibaba is not part of that original set of stories.
Right.
I know it's had various mutations in its different forms and translations, but it's something that got added on some point after, and odd for it being one of like the most famous tales of the Arabian Nights that it isn't part of that core group of tales.
Yeah, exactly. And this has I think this set has Sinbad in volume 3. So we might have to. This does not make for exciting live streaming. So maybe we ought to take this up in
We'll have to
the
sort of see if we
Voxer chat.
get our diaries arranged to make sure we're going to be reading the same things. But
Yes, indeed.
I think probably when we come to stories like Alibaba, Aladdin, Sinbad, these are probably going to be worth their own little episodes to talk about them, because I think these are the stories that people who haven't read the work, which is pretty much everybody
Yes,
does know. Um, there's a bit of a hodgepodge of tales in
really
this
is.
last month's
Yeah,
reading.
yeah.
Um, we start by going through the very end of the long cycle of tales that we were talking about last month.
Yes.
And I think you'd read ahead a bit.
Yes.
I
So I'd
hadn't.
finished it. I'd finished that. There were like two nights left.
So I caught up with those two. We see the final capture of the mother of calamity.
Yes.
It's a bit of a tame denouement for her.
Sure.
For this sort of evil genius, she seems to be caught out quite easily
Mm-hmm.
by the ruse. But yeah, there's not much fanfare of her demise. I mean, they're obviously happy about it, but
Yeah.
it's very much taken in stride, I think. And we're following it up with surrounded with more tales. This time, the tale of Hammad the Badawi, which he's the guy that had kidnapped one of the princesses, and he's
Right.
telling about another story about when he was on his expedition of thievery. He's quite proud
Right.
of being a thief.
That's yeah. So that was a very strange one because it was one of those. If I tell you a good story, will you spare my life? Situations, and then he tells a story that basically makes him seem like the worst person that you've ever
Yeah,
met.
and at the end,
Surprisingly enough, it doesn't. They don't spare his life after.
yeah, because yeah, he's saying that. See, and it's like, yeah,
See,
yeah, is perhaps putting a little bit too much emphasis on how good a storyteller he thinks he is.
Mhm.
Hi, Pat. Hello, Pat.
Hello, Pat. Hello, Cobalt Dragon.
Yeah, sorry you were frozen, and I said hello to Elaine. So,
Okay, yeah.
um, oh, we've got an Alan as well. Hola,
Uh, Senor Man, yes, hello.
assalamu alaikum. And one thing I noticed in the first half of this month's reading was we actually got to see a little bit more about the actual framing story.
Yes.
King Sharia starts to realize perhaps he is a bit of a idiot and maybe shouldn't have killed all of those people.
Yes.
Now, as far as character development goes, that's the least he could do.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's interesting that it takes until 150 nights in before we
Hmm.
start to see a little more than just the customary. Scheherazade realizes the night is, the dawn is coming, and quietly stops her tale, and then they
Yes.
begin again.
Yes. And I think that tells us more about the provenance of this set of stories than anything else because he has not reacted to anything until the end of that military cycle. And then he says, "Tell me a story about birds."
Yes, it's an odd switch that he makes, but
Hmm.
you've gone for. I suppose he is having a little bit more involvement in this now that he's actually starting to do requests,
Yes.
which
And I think that as we look at the reading for this month, we have the end of the sort of military story. We have this set of several nights of animal stories, sort of fables. And then it moves on to star-crossed lovers, and then a second set of star-crossed lovers, just to kind of give the broad overview, right? But he's only doing the reactions in the animal stories, it seems. So there'll be like a series of animal stories, and then the next day comes, and he says something about that. Maybe he'll ask for more bird stories, which he does again later on. He's like, "I want more bird stories," but he does have that very important, and it really is surprising because it's typically formulaic.
Yeah, they are the more simple tales that
Yeah,
seem to appeal to him.
yeah,
But I don't, are we, like you say about the provenance, are we just looking at a writer who has written these animal tales and
yeah,
decides to pad out this framing story a bit
yeah,
more?
yeah.
Because it does go away again.
Hmm.
We do
Exactly.
return to form where
Yeah,
it is just, one night ends, another one begins.
right. So, how is it translated in your edition? Do you have that to hand?
Well, where they're talking,
Yeah.
or
Well, where he expresses his character development.
um, I've got one bit here. So at this point, Shahrazad paused for a moment to drink a glass of sherbet. I want to drink a glass of sherbet. I want to try this. It sounds nice. Which little Dunyazad had handed to her. So that is Shahrazad's younger sister,
Hmm.
who is around them every night. Oddly enough,
Yeah, enough. Yes.
I think she knows where. I think she knows she's next in line. So maybe she has to be caught up with the story if Scheherazade doesn't perform one night.
Hmm.
So she handed her the sherbet, while King Shahryar exclaimed, "Ah, ah! I thought that the wolf would be killed. His death pleased me very much.
Yeah.
But can you not now tell me some tale illustrating the evils of blind trust and thoughtlessness?" Um, he, yeah, he's putting more demands on Scheherazade, which I think it's good for her in a way, but it puts her in danger in another, because if he's saying the kind of story he wants, she doesn't deliver the goods, she's
Yeah.
probably in trouble.
Right.
Um, he's still delighting in death at this point, although of animals, but he seems, from some of the other stories, to be showing a little bit of regret for his actions. But then that stops, and I'm not
Hmm.
quite sure what to make of that. It's
I don't either. So this I found it where he expresses regret. It's on night 148. She has finished telling a story about a shepherd and an ascetic, um, which is, a, if I remember it right, it's a very it's almost nothing of a story. There's an ascetic who is tempted by an angel who appears to him as a beautiful woman and says, basically, why don't we have relations? And the ascetic resists, and the angel goes away, and it's like that's the end of the story. And then it says, "This is the end of their story." The king said, "Shahrazad, you have made me renounce my preoccupation with my kingdom, and you have made me regret the excesses to which I went in killing women and girls. Do you have any more stories about birds?" Yes,
Yeah,
she replied, and she went on. Um,
yeah. I've got the example of that shepherd gives me matter for reflection. I think it might be better for me if I retired to a cave to escape the cares of my kingdom and pass my life in tending sheep. But first, I should like to hear some more about the beasts and the birds. And he's still king, so whatever he says goes. And that story about the the shepherd and the angel was very odd as well.
mhm.
I mean that very much like a temptation story, from the Bible. I mean, it could have been lifted where it was a little bit more, it was a little bit more sexy.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, the but this is my ignorance of Islamic tales. Tales of angels don't really seem to be very populous.
I can't
I'm
remember seeing any others up to this point.
certainly not in this, but
Yeah.
I'm just in general thinking. It's just
Right.
like, well, there are prophets, and there must be angels,
Mhm.
because it's the lots of the books have the same, have the same sort of foundation, but
Hmm.
you just don't think of angels as you think of angels as being sort of exclusively exclusively Christian or Judeo-Christian. So it's odd to see it
Hmm.
here
Right.
and also phrased in this way. The temptation
Yeah.
is purely a carnal one, which doesn't seem to be
Hmm.
sort of typical angel behavior.
No, no. And who is sending this angel on this little mission? I mean, we're probably giving it way more way more examination than it can bear. This little story, but it is unusual in that sense. And I mean, a lot of these animal stories are quite unusual, and they're not really your typical Aesop fables. They don't have, well, for one thing, they often don't have a moral, even though in the midst of them, the animals spend a lot of time kind of saying proverbs and poetry to each other.
Yet the animals are religious.
Yes, and they're very pious. Uh,
Yeah,
and
apart from the goose,
there
you
are
forget.
these formulas that they have for expressing their piety. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, one
So,
of them, I think one of them seemed to have a moral. The longer story where the animals come and tell the lion, who is king of the beasts, warning the lion
mhm.
about man, and
Right.
or in my translation is Adamkin. I don't know.
It's the son of Adam is in here. Yeah. Yes, and then the
So
carpenter comes by. Yeah.
yeah, so then man turns up and basically hoodwinks the lion. So you
Right.
can say, okay, well at that
Mhm.
point, that there's a little bit of a moral there, as in
Mhm.
don't get tricked.
Right.
But for the rest of it, I mean, I suppose there's the story of the wolf and the fox
Mhm.
that sort of tells the same story again because the wolf is obviously trying to trick the fox and the fox is having none of it.
Yeah.
But some of the other stories are, well, there's a turtle and a heron or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and they're best buds,
Right.
and that
Right.
seemed to be the the extent of the tale. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back to the lion and the son of man, or the son of Adam, or the carpenter. And this might be reading too much to it. It's just something that has kind of occurred to me right now as we're talking. Is that um, the lion is in a lot of times it's a symbolic of the prophet Muhammad, and he was known to be fond of cats. That's the prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as they say. And so often cats and lions are associated with him. And the carpenter, who else is a famous carpenter from long ago that you might think of?
well, I mean, possibly, but I mean, Jesus is still revered as a prophet within Islam. So
Mm-hmm.
portraying him as a trickster
Right.
seems it could be a bit of a stretch, but yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hell of a
Certainly.
coincidence.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. It was just a thing that occurred, maybe. But yeah, it does have that sort of, the powerful being brought low or being tricked in some way. Um, and there was there was
Alan knows who we're talking about.
do, do you? Uh,
I mean, it's odd that the animals see man as the real enemy, and it is put over again and again how bad man
mhm.
is. Because obviously the audience is not other animals; it is the reader. Um, I'm wondering if these are just sort of Islamic scribes who've got a little bit carried away. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, there's no moral here, like in such cases, but there's got to be. some kind of link with the real world. These animals have to stand for something. And
Right.
I did I did have a look to see whether people have written that much about it, and they really haven't. So,
Mhm.
like you said about the other story, are we looking far too closely at these things? Are these purely, sort of diverting tales that are sort of like after dinner anecdotes, or is there something more important we need to be looking into it?
Hmm.
I mean, obviously there is, with the shepherd and the girl, Allah sending angels, and it is
Hmm.
Allah in the book, so it is
Okay.
being done by God, sending
Hmm.
angels to tempt the faithful.
Right.
Um, okay, fine, I get that, but when we move into a tortoise with a heron who basically sort of makes sure that the tortoise is kept safe,
Hmm.
turtle, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, I've got it here, so I'm not sure there's much of a lesson to be learned. That's the
Some,
extent. That's the
right.
extent of my notes.
That's true. Well, there's there is kind of a story within a story about a snake. Oh, about a snake, which is kind of a, a famous sort of folk tale, a variation of the folk tale of the old woman and the snake, um, where a woman like finds a wounded snake and nurses it back to life, and then at a certain point, and they become friends. And one day the snake just bites her, and she says, "Why'd you do that?" And he says, "Well, you knew I was a snake, right?" And
Yeah,
there's a version of that here where a man saves a snake from a snake charmer, and the snake says, if you save me, I'll give you a reward." And the guy saves it and says, "I've saved you from what you feared, so what is the reward?" To which the snake replied, "Tell me at what limb or part of your body to bite you, for you know that is the only reward that we snakes give." It then bit the man, who died. Um, so that go that is part of the fox and the wolf, I believe.
is it a moral or a health and safety warning?
It could
It's
be.
difficult to tell.
Um, there is a warning given in the story about a mouse and a weasel, and I've seen in other. Burton calls the weasel like an icumen or something like that. But this is where the farmer's wife spreads out some sesame seeds, and there's a lot of extraneous exposition about why she's doing this. But basically, there's a bunch of sesame seeds, and the weasel goes and steals them, and and the mouse is trying to get some of those sweet sesame seeds, but then the farmer's wife is catching on to them, is like hunting them to smash them or something, and and then the weasel tricks the mouse into going out into the middle to expose himself to being smashed by the farmer's wife, and that does happen. She smashes him with a cudgel, and he dies. And then there's a moral. There is explicitly a moral, which is greed was the cause of her death. And the fact that she ignored the consequences of what she had done, which is not true at all. The cause of her death was that she was tricked by the weasel. You just
Yeah,
can't trust a weasel. That's the thing. But
no, it's yeah, and yeah, I think the farmer's wife is sort of blaming the cat at some point, or lack of cats, for not keeping the mice at bay. But yeah, so I mean, it was. I mean, some of these really didn't register with me at all.
mm-hmm.
I sort of read them, thought there is nothing there, and moved along.
Right, yes, yes,
And I can't see that anyone else has come up with any sort of intuited any deeper meaning to them. Yet at the same time, the person or the people who at this point are writing the tales are showing more interest in the framing story.
mm-hmm.
So you can see as we move from one teller to the next, from one author to the next, even though all of these things have been translated by the same people
Mm-hmm.
all the way through that, 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 we're reading. Um, I'm sort of hoping the animals don't make a return. If I'm honest, I don't think they're adding a lot to it. I think possibly the talking donkey in the actual Hanna Barbera cartoon was
Yes.
a lot more interesting and believable as a character.
Uh, yeah, I they were a little bit fragmentary and very strange. I suspect we might see a section of animal stories again, but who knows? I suppose we should move on to the next
Yeah.
section.
Alan is just saying that he has a copy of the Arabian Nights, so he's been
Mhm.
using it in his Finnegan's Wake um, studies. So,
Maybe he
having not
sh-
read Finnegan's Wake, I
yeah.
don't know where the Arabian Nights turn up, but that would be interesting to see.
Maybe we should have Alan as a guest some time, and he
Yeah,
can.
he can explain this all to us. Diane is also here. Hello, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Yeah, so yeah, let's leave the animals to their lack of morals, and
Yes,
we move on to the story of Ali ibn Bakir and Shams al-Nahar.
yes, that that's right.
So this is, I mean, this has a very basic moral, I
Mhm.
suppose, which don't fall in love with the caliph's favorite bit on the side.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
but when they get together, Ali ibn Bakir and Shams al-Nahar, they are completely love struck.
yes.
I mean, it is sort of bolt from the blue stuff
Hmm.
in his tailor's shop.
Yes,
So she is out of his league essentially,
certainly. Yeah.
but he has an introduction because he has a friend Abu who either knows her or knows the maidservant, and um, basically, yeah, basically, it's love at first sight,
Hmm.
but she is the favored
Con-
concubine
yeah, I think that's the word. Yeah.
of Haran al Rashid, who is made
Hmm.
a return.
Yep.
So he's a real person,
Yes.
was a real person. He is the guy that put together this center of learning in Baghdad, where these tales found their way, and amongst all of the true scholarship that was going on, also produced as a side hustle,
Hmm.
Arabian Nights. Um, so odd that we've got, or we show him being essentially cuckolded.
I was thinking that myself. Yeah. Yes. I, although I suppose it's only what they would these days call an emotional affair, but um, yeah, his his favorite concubine is in love with someone else and is sneaking off to see him. But I mostly what they do is they go through go betweens and they do a lot of fainting.
Yes, I mean
I've
it's
never
almost
read a
Victorian.
story with so much fainting after hearing poems. I mean,
I mean, I've never heard a poem that made me faint.
no, no, not
Maybe,
yet.
maybe, maybe I'm just the unemotional one.
Yeah, well, we are a couple of middle aged men, so maybe.
Maybe I'm missing some. Maybe this is the popularity of Poetry Thursday. This is the whole thing I'm missing. This is just I'm not getting to the good stuff.
Right.
Um, but yes, they are both of them quite highly strung. Oh,
Yes.
we have. We're going to take you up on that offer, Alan. Um,
Okay.
I'm going to have to find out a bit more about Finnegan's Wake and Thousand and One Nights. That should be interesting. Bit of a mix. So yes, so there's a lot of poetry. The love between
Mhm.
people is always expressed in poetry. I think it gets this comes across in the next set of stories as well. And I think
Mhm.
the bits I've not come to, there is a lot of poetry
Yeah.
still to come. It's obviously a much more important thing, poetry,
Mm-hmm.
um, at that time than it is, I would say, any point, Renaissance almost onwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, even at the heights of Romanticism, I don't think it gets this passionate. But most of these poems are still, they're fairly sort of courtly. It is very, idealistic in praise of other people. I like some of the poetry, and I'm guessing we're looking at different
Mm-hmm.
translations as well, because
Yes.
the everyone seems to want to translate the poems themselves. There's no established, agreed translation that everybody is referring to.
Right.
Some of them, some of the poems, not great.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them actually have some very, nice lines.
Indeed. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the poems in praise of the loved ones really does seem to be. It's almost, it's like a rap battle. Who is going to be outdoing the other
Yeah.
person? And we see that sort of explicitly in
Yeah.
in the next set of stories as well. But sort of, not fighting to a knockout, but to a fainting.
Right. Yeah. 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 And I mean, there's also music, and some of these poems are recited to music. So we have, I think it's mainly like other concubines, or maybe in some cases eunuchs, who will play upon lutes, is the way it's translated in Lions. They'll play the lute and sing, which will also lead uh, Ali or Shams to faint straight away um, at the beauty of their. But I mean, this whole story, aside from the strangeness of the woman being part of the harem of Harun al Rashid, not much to it, right? Not a lot happens.
No, it's all about the danger that
Mm-hmm.
they both end up in.
Right.
Um, but I mean, as highly strung as you might think they are in
Mm-hmm.
reaction to poetry, when they realise that their love is doomed, they,
Yeah.
I mean, Ali wastes away in
Mm-hmm.
in unrequited, well, not unrequited, but unfulfilled love.
Yes.
For,
Mm-hmm.
for this woman, he's at this point, he's been whisked away,
Yep.
for his own safety, but
Mm-hmm.
he just can't, he cannot live, literally cannot live without her.
Yes.
And she, at the same time, reciprocally, the same thing happens. Harun al Rashid doesn't know what's happening, wants to make things right for her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have a special showing. So there was a Portland had a poetry slam this weekend. I don't know if that is the lineup of the poetry slam. That would be something, or
Yeah.
whether this is how they appear in Finnegan's Wake. But yeah, I mean, Al Rashid comes out of this okay
Yeah.
as a character, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
very odd position to write him in. I don't know whether perhaps by the time they're writing these pieces, he's
Mm-hmm.
passed away.
Right.
Um, but I should imagine that even talking that way about the dead wouldn't have been.
Well, Gavin. Now I know you get very sensitive when I talk about a certain mythological English king, um, who may have had a similar situation with his wife.
Henry VIII wasn't mythological.
No, no, not no, no, King Arthur.
Yeah, but no one's gonna get too angry if you slag King Arthur off.
Right.
I mean, they probably would do in the books, but so, I
Well,
mean, in
yeah,
the books, people absolutely love Harun al-Rashid. The,
yeah,
the populace love him, as you'd expect.
right.
Um, and as we've seen in these stories, reactions when they come can be sort of sudden and quite violent.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder, whether part of the reason these writers are anonymous is, is a sort of collective responsibility on the part of the scholars
Yeah.
to not really want to put their name to these things.
No, it wasn't me. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then they're giving themselves away by hallmarks of how they are approaching certain stories, how much they
Mm-hmm.
are writing into how much they are reading into these animal analogies. Whether we don't. Possibly this story had a kernel of truth somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you are the caliph and you've got heaven knows how many wives, it's
Mm-hmm.
not inconceivable that an ignored
Right.
wife or concubine may seek something else. The whole story of the 1001 Nights begins just
Yes.
because of something like this.
Yeah.
Taken to the extreme, but um, the it seems to be just it is a simple tale,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not quite sure again what message I'm reading from this. It's just like, well, it's just a story of doomed love.
Yes.
It is. They're just like depressed teenagers.
They are indeed. And if you found yourself impatient with all the animal stories, I found myself getting a little impatient with these two and their go-betweens and their fainting straight away.
Yeah.
so so I was glad to see the end of this, only to be thrust into yet another set of star-crossed lovers.
Yeah, so this one's. We're only halfway through this. I've read ahead a little bit, not
Mm-hmm.
very much. This is now the story of. Let's get it right. The tale of Kamar al-Zaman and Princess Budur. Now, this
Yes.
is this is much more in the frame of a 1980s film of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They're both of them determined that they don't want to be married,
Right.
but they just haven't met each other yet.
Yes. That's it. Yeah. Right.
Um, what this series of stories does do, certainly in the first piece, is we see the return of jinns, of genies, of
Yes.
ifrits,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a little bit more agency. There is a little bit more play between these genies
Mm-hmm.
here than there is in the earlier stories where they turn up, they do their bit,
Right.
and they're always interacting with people, either
Yes.
tricking people or being tricked by people.
Yes.
Here they are dealing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have absolutely two levels of the story. You have the human level of the story and the supernatural level. They're able to put the human beings into sort of deep sleeps,
Yes.
do what they need to do, and
Yes.
basically use the humans as pawns um, to basically satisfy their own bets.
Yes. Yes.
But I was glad to see the genies come back, and the
Mm-hmm.
genies this time um, seem to be religious. They're believers as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, a couple of them were in the earlier stories, but not exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are basically talking about Islam the same way that the human characters talk about Islam, and they're saying all the right things in all the right places.
Yeah.
I really wonder how that sits. This is I don't I don't know what the equivalent is. Is it ghosts? Is it witches? Because these are things that really should not if you read your religious texts
Mm-hmm.
absolutely straight, these things should not should really not be there.
Right.
They, this is elves and fairies. They don't turn up in the Bible. Yet you have
Mhm.
genies in
Yeah.
the Thousand and One Nights. There aren't any genies in. I don't think there are no genies in the Quran.
Have to read it to find out, but I doubt it.
I'm pretty sure there aren't.
Well, I mean, there are things between human and God in certainly in the Old Testament. There are angels, there are Nephilim, there are the giants in the earth, and things like that. Um, and if you get to the Book of Revelations, there's certainly all kinds of various strange things. And there are angels that will come and wrestle with people in the Old Testament and whatnot. But I don't know about the Quran. Um, so I suppose in after you're done reading Finnegan's Wake, Gavin, you'll have to read the Quran.
Yeah. Well, my review might be that it's a tale so marvelous that we're written with a needle on the
On the
corner of an
corners of
eye.
your eye.
It would teach it would teach prudence to the circumspect. Maybe,
Yes.
maybe teach me be a little bit prudent before I start saying what is and isn't in it.
Yes. Exactly.
Um, but definitely fun to see the genies back. Not fun to see the interplay,
Mhm.
and it's almost now like the Greek gods using the humans for their sport. That's how I felt about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, uh,
Oh, burning bushes. Yes.
burning bushes,
You.
burning buses to begin with, which I think that's more LA than the Bible,
Right.
and then onto bushes. Yeah, so I suppose there are signs,
Mhm.
but I mean a genie is something else, and these are free roaming ifrits.
Yeah.
These are not genies that have been stoppered up in bottles and
Right.
prisoners and released.
Hmm. What story
Uh,
are we on again?
so this is Prince Kamar Al-Zaman and Princess Budur. So actually, let's talk about the story, I
Yeah.
suppose. Prince Budur is the only son of a king.
Other
Uh,
way.
the king's getting on a bit.
The
One,
prince is Kamar,
yes,
and Budur
yes.
is the princess. Yeah.
Um, in fact, both of them, I think, are the only children of the respective kings.
Yes.
They're unknown to each other. They live in distant lands. Neither of them want to get married.
Yes.
Um, the prince's father is very keen that he does get married because he wants to see his line continue.
Hmm.
And waits a year, asks him again. Still, the answer's no.
Hmm.
Waits another year. We should mention that both the prince and the princess are absolutely fantastically gorgeous.
Yes.
We
Mm.
don't stop hearing about this, and it does
Hmm.
become a plot point, I suppose.
And their saliva is more delicious than any wine. So
I'll take your word for
it did.
it.
It's in
I
there.
don't remember that bit.
Okay.
I might have skipped that. Maybe that's not in my translation.
Probably Monsieur Madras did not like the that comparison and left it out.
Yeah, not
They did not
French.
have good Bordeaux, so
um, he still doesn't want to get married. He leaves it another year on the advice of his vizier. Says next time you ask him after the next year passes, do it in front of the whole court and tell him that you've arranged the marriage. He's going to be so beholden to you that he's going to do what you say out of obedience, and he doesn't, and he kicks up a stink, and enraged, the king puts him away in a tower, and is told to keep him there for a fortnight, and he'll change his ways. But whilst he's in the tower is an old part of the castle, and it is, I mean, my translation says haunted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Haunted by jinn.
Yes.
And one of the jinn finds him. Hold on. We have it here. He's amended that. I'm pretty sure that turns up in some of these stories as well. We've already had that. They are described as a separate creation from humans, made of smokeless fire and possessing free will to do between good and evil. So these are jinns.
Okay.
So I suppose a lot of the jinn we've seen up until now haven't had the free will because they are imprisoned and they have a role to fulfill. There is more free will between these ones.
Yes. Yeah.
Good point, Diane. Indeed. So,
thank you.
She can't. This is a female jinn. She can't take her eyes off the prince.
Yes.
But she sees that another jinn is coming, and basically challenges him because she doesn't want anyone harming this prince because he is so absolutely lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes this other genie, who is a lesser genie, to task. She could basically destroy him if she wants to, but they end up. She says, "Look, oh yeah, you can have a quick peek," because the other genie turns up and says, "I found the most beautiful princess."
Right. Yes.
He's basically waxing lyrical about this princess, who is, the Princess Budur, who we mentioned from the story, and the other genie goes, "No. Not as pretty as the prince I've got." I said, "Well, let me have a look." So he has a look and says, "Oh yeah, he's a very pretty prince." They try to the way they decide who has found the prettiest person is he goes back, he kidnaps Princess Budur, brings them back, puts them next to each other, and they have a poetry off.
Right.
They who can say the most eloquent poetry about their particular person, and how does it affect the other genies? They go through that. They still can't decide. They call up a third genie to arbitrate, and he says, "No, they're equally lovely." So how do we decide who is the loveliest of the two? So, well, the way we're going to decide this is wake one of them up and see what they say about the other one. Put them back to sleep, wake the other one up, and whoever has the best reaction out of those two is the more loving one, who is the more sort of love struck.
Yes.
And therefore the other one is therefore the prettiest.
Right. Yes.
Because you inspire more love struckness.
Exactly.
Which happens. And the princess finds the prince more desirable than the prince finds the princess. But it seems to be a pretty close run thing.
Yes. Yeah.
The prince, whilst this princess is asleep, nearly takes her, but decides that actually this is a trick being played upon me by my father. I'll show him, and goes back to sleep.
Yes.
But he swaps rings with her.
Right.
Because he is definitely going to marry this woman who looks exactly like him.
Yes.
Except for certain anatomical differences.
Yeah. Yes. That's a very strange bit, but yeah.
Well, they go on about their backsides an awful lot. Yes. I mean, the narrator does, the genies do, then they go on about each other's backsides. And he goes, "What a perfect backside. It's just like mine." It's odd.
Yes.
But he goes to sleep. They wake her up, and she basically fawns over him, and implied that yeah, but basically she lies with him whilst he's asleep.
Mhm.
Um, but then is whisked back to her kingdom.
Yes.
So they both wake up. They're both alone, and then they both start pining like
Hmm.
idiots as well.
Yes. Of course, they also live like on opposite ends of the continent or something.
Yes.
Yes, and they don't know who the other one is.
So the genie, having put them in this position, um, basically disappear at this point.
Yep.
I don't know whether they will come back, but it's like the opposite of a fairy godmother tale. They've turned
That's right.
the magical creature has turned up,
Hmm.
created chaos, and let
Yes.
them sort it out themselves.
Yeah.
Um, but the prince, they consider that he's mad because he's making this story up, and then they
Hmm.
find evidence of, well, he might not be making this story up, but they don't
Hmm.
know quite what to believe.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with Princess Badur.
Yes.
And I think that's where it ends for what we've been reading. I've read on a little bit, but I've not got
Oh.
to the end yet.
Oh, my section goes on quite a bit after that.
Oh, I might be forgetting something. Then. Go
Well,
ahead.
um, the prince and the princess, after having been adamantly "I'm never getting married," become adamantly the other way and insistent upon "I've got to find this person." All right, so they're now both kind of enraged. Um, and well, to start, Princess Badur, her father, like the king, he gets a bunch of wise men and physicians and astrologers to come in and try to cure her of her madness. But anyone who tries and fails is going to be beheaded. So a bunch of people try, and then eventually they stop getting new contestants. On the Then someone, a traveler, arrives. I think it's a cousin of Badur, and he hears the story. And he's like, I've been traveling, and I heard of this prince who is supposedly very beautiful and is in love with a woman that he has, and he's heard the story. So he's like, I'm going to go and try and find this prince. He knows what island he's on, so he goes. He's going across country. Then he gets on a boat, and the boat shipwrecks. But he happens to be kind of out at sea, like maybe on a piece of driftwood, just within view of the tower where the vizier of Kamar's father is looking out the window, and the king has been berating this vizier to do something to cure his son. And he looks out the window and he sees this guy. He says, "Hold on a second, I just want to go rescue this guy who's about to drown." And he brings him to shore. They figure out what's what. Um, and But for some reason they don't tell the king what's going on. So this guy from Bador's land goes and meets Kamar. They become great friends. Everyone's happy. The king is like, "Hey, he's got a friend. Maybe this is going to snap him out of it." They have a big party. Everyone's happy. So the guy, Bador's cousin, gets Kamar and says, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to sneak out of here. And we're going to go back to my country. I think it's China. I don't know if you caught that, but I believe Budur is in China."
Right. Okay.
And he says, "We're going to go to China. We're going to steal some. We'll pretend we're going out hunting, but we're actually going to go to China, and I'll introduce you to this woman who I think is the one you're dreaming of." So they do that, and for some reason, they get like a day's journey. And have you read this? Is this in what you read, or am
Yeah.
I?
Yeah. I just didn't. I'd forgotten where
Okay,
the nights had ended.
okay.
Where
So,
I'd
so
started reading on.
they go about a day. They're on this hunting trip that they're never planning to come back from, and to throw everyone off the trail, which for some reason is important. It doesn't make any sense, but the cousin says, "All right, you take off all your clothes." Heard that one, right? And they kill like a horse, and splatter it with blood and leave it at the crossroad. And then they give him a new set of clothes and they ride on. So he's like, so now, if when your father comes looking for you, he's going to find your bloody clothes and just assume you're dead. So he's not going to look for you anymore, and we'll be able to continue on. I don't know why on earth that would be important.
No, especially when it has been impressed upon us how much he loves his only son,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and he's elderly,
Yes.
and it's just like
It's
maybe
like,
you don't want to give him a huge, big, scare
yes.
like that. But yeah, he said, yeah, well, think how happy he'll be when you come back with a new wife.
And
Yeah,
also, we've been told that this is like a 6-month journey over land. So it's
yeah. So
so
he's going to be away, in grief for an entire year.
at least. All right.
But yeah, so that's sort of pretty much where it's pretty much where we've got to.
Not yet.
No,
No, because they
there's
get
even
there.
more.
They get there. They get to Bador City, and instead of saying this is the guy, the cousin says, "Here's what you got to do. You got to go out into the street, telling everyone that you're an astrologer and a wise
Yes,
man and a physician, and they'll say, well, since you're so smart, go and cure the princess." So
and
he,
then he
yes,
goes. Not only am I going to cure the princess,
yes,
I'm not even going to see her. I'm
that's
going to be behind a curtain,
that's right.
and it's just like, I mean, I suppose all of these princes are privately educated, and they get all of that unearned confidence that comes with it.
Right, right. Well, we've heard about how smart this guy is, how athletic, how in addition to just being good looking, he's a perfect specimen, right? And he does meet her, and they fall in love, and they're like, "Well, this is great." And then to move things along, they get married. I believe they get married. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. But he then has a dream about his father.
Yes.
And his father, my father is grief stricken. I must go back. It's like, yeah, I wonder why he's grief stricken.
Yes. Yeah. So they're like, okay, we're going to embark on this journey. We're almost at the end. Anyone still watching? We're almost. So we're going to embark on this journey to go back. So they get all their caravan and their servants and their camels, and Kamar and his bride Badur, they set out from the city in China to go back to Kamar's home to see his father and say, "Ha ha! You thought I was dead? I was just getting married to this Chinese woman who looks just like me." They
As
go
we
about
do.
a day, and they camp, and they're lying down in their tent. Yes, they must be married because Kamar is able to just go and have a peek at his bride, right? So he undoes some of her clothing and sees that she has a ring secreted somewhere under her clothing. He says, "I wonder what this is about." And he takes it out, and then a bird steals it from him.
Yep.
And he goes off chasing this bird
For days.
for days. And that's about where I read.
Yeah. So he doesn't think to get, an archer. I mean, they must be traveling with a retinue.
Yes.
No one's got a. I mean, he says he's no good with a bow and arrow. He's no good with a sling. It's like
Right.
someone must
Someone.
be.
Yes.
I mean, get over the embarrassment.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
that this is the jewel you've whisked away from your bride's drawers.
Right.
Uh, it's a carnelian cube, something like that. And he only takes it outside so he can see it better, because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
got some magical inscriptions on it, which she's
Mhm.
been given by the cousin, who is also he's a magician.
Right.
So he's like a proper magician stroke astrologer. So he
Yes.
sort of lucky underwear jewelry, and it's turned out not to be lucky
Right.
for Kamar.
Right.
And at this point that they're separated.
Yes. And that is where I read too. He's showing himself not to be quite as smart as he's cracked up to be. But
No, You'd have thought, at what day? Because I think it's like 8 days he gets to. Where he's chasing this bird. Is at what point does he
Mhm.
realize that maybe he's now out of sight of the
Right.
rest of them? So they are now again
Right.
separated. So
Yes.
it's just a contrivance to keep them apart from each other,
Hmm.
um, just so that we can have another contrivance,
Hmm.
presumably to bring
Yes.
them back. But sometimes the way these tales go, I'm not entirely sure these things have happy endings.
I'm not sure. Not sure either. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a mixed bag
Hmm.
for this month. I'm quite enjoying this story because
Yeah.
there's a there's a lot of humor there. I think not all of it intentional,
No. Something like that.
but the interplay between the genies is funny.
Hmm.
The fact that both these characters must be so narcissistic that they've only fallen in love with each other because
They look
it's
like
like looking into
themselves.
a mirror.
Yes.
Well, they can compare asses, and
Yes. Yeah.
it's I'm really interested to see where it goes
Hmm.
because there's still a little bit of it left, so it
Hmm.
isn't going to wrap up neatly. There is still one or two more twists, I'm sure, and
Yes.
I'm hopeful that the genies make a return because having
Yes.
started all of this mess, they should be there for the denouement as well. But we'll have to
One would
wait.
hope, though, if we've learned anything from our study of the Arabian Nights, is that they don't always
They don't deliver narratively.
they so they
It's
don't always deliver narratives right.
they've got well, they've just got their own rules. I
Yes.
suppose we are conditioned in the West to think that the story's got to go in this way. People have to behave in a certain way, and sometimes you look at the behavior and go, "What on earth is going on?" Just like now that it's happened, the same thing has happened a few times.
Mm-hmm.
People flying into absolute fits of rage over the slightest provocation.
Yep.
People fainting over
Yes.
poetry. You go,
Yes.
okay, we're just dealing with different types here.
Yes. That's right.
Um, anyway, we had a little bit of activity. I've been ignoring the comments. Talia from Talia Nerds Out is here. Hello, Talia.
Dahlia.
And
Would you guys try egg hot? That beer.
egg
I've never
hot.
heard of this.
No, this is new.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is a Portland thing, or something that Alan dreamed about. Um,
I want to learn how to make these refreshing glasses of sherbet.
yes, that sounds pretty good. I'd settle for some of that saliva.
It's better than the magical dung that we had last month.
Yes, yes, we did. We didn't talk about it on the live stream, but there was the excrement of the patriarch believed to have magical properties. Yeah. So,
Yeah, well, I
oh,
mean,
there's a beer egg concoction in the Arabian Nights. We haven't gotten to it yet.
oh, okay. Are you sure this isn't James? This isn't James Joyce's Arabian Nights, is it?
Yes, it might be. It might be.
Okay, well, we'll have to. Well, I can't. There's not an awful lot of drinking in this. I suppose there is some drinking in the Arabian Nights, more than I thought there would be.
Yeah, there was some in the story of the porter.
Yeah,
They did
yeah, we do
a
get
fair bit.
people who get drunk, but
Yes.
it's. I think you can tell which bits are written when, or which bits are based on stories from when, because there's parts that's like, yeah, I'm Muslim, I don't drink,
Right.
and other ones where, yeah, of course we drink because this
Yeah.
is a much older story,
Right. Yeah.
and we've added the references to Allah and Muhammad after the event to basically keep this book on the right side of things.
Yeah. Alan is getting increasingly Joycean as the stream goes on. So
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to find out about this, but I'm gonna see how easy it is to make a sherbet. I might post a recipe.
I think it is fairly easy to make a sherbet if you have like a blender or something like that.
It's like shaved ice and sugared water and stuff like
Yeah,
that, isn't it?
yeah,
So yeah, okay. Well, maybe I'll have one. I could have done with one today. Actually, it's a bit warm.
a bit warm. Yeah, it's in the 90s here in North Carolina. So yeah, yeah.
Natalia saying, "Well, this is it, Talia. There seem to be so many different versions of the Arabian Nights, and there are condensed versions, edited versions, expanded versions. God knows how many translations.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen books purporting to be the Arabian Nights, and all they've got is Sinbad, Aladdin, and Ali Baba in it, and that seems to be enough for people to say it is the Arabian Nights. But then, well, I don't know how many pages yours is. Mine's 2,500 pages worth.
About that. Yeah,
There is a lot of stuff which I think, unsurprisingly, doesn't make the condensed versions. But the more I get into it, the more I am luxuriating in the whole world of it. It's very um, enticing to say you. I think I'm getting into the rhythms of it
mm-hmm.
a little bit more. I mean, it's funny to say that when I'm only 600 and something pages in, but
Right.
it. I think I'm sort of definitely in that world now. There
Yeah.
is there is less stuff that is surprising me. Um,
Right. Right.
I'm sort of getting used to the reactions of some of the characters, but there's still a lot more to sort of dive into.
That's right. So Diane says she has the first volume of the one that I'm reading. That's the Penguin Classics. So Diane, if you want to read page 750 to 900 by next month, you could join us. You could be one of us.
Yes.
Think about it. We had a bunch of people at the beginning, but they've dropped off, and now it's just me and Gavin alone
Yeah,
on the
there we are on the
carpet.
magic carpet.
Yeah.
Well, here we're all on the same horse.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, absolutely. Anyone who wants to sort of join this is more than welcome. You really, really do not have to have read parts of it to sort of
Nope.
begin and get on with this bit. This stuff can be read absolutely out of sequence. I think if you're
Mhm.
reading a certain set of tales, we're trying to break it up into those sets of tales. Sometimes we end up halfway through one,
Yeah.
but it really doesn't take long to catch up
Yeah.
because there are just so many restarts and something new so far every month. But yeah, anyone who wants to join, there is a Voxer group. There's my
Mhm.
Voxer contact in the description of my videos. So just let me know and we'll get you added. It doesn't matter which translation you're doing. You've got the most recent translation is the Lyons translation.
Mhm.
I've got the translation that came from the Arabic into the French and then translated into English from the French by a Welshman. Um, and then there is the Richard Francis Burton translation and the Edward Lane translation, and we're going to get there.
Yep.
um, but given that we seem to be coming to a point in the next couple of months where we are diverging, I think we will have to try to align our texts
Yeah. Yeah.
and probably stick to what the Lions translation is doing, because that's the version that the Penguin version is probably what most people may have access to.
Probably so. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, there's lots of it, Talia. This is going to
Mm.
keep us. This is, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's going to keep us going for the next year, according
Mm.
to our schedule. So, yeah, 3 volumes for Penguin, 4 volumes for me. There's lots of volumes of the Burton
Burton's is
version.
17, so
Yeah, I think they're just. Hopefully, they're smaller volumes rather than an awful lot more tales,
they
because
are.
I think 17 volumes of this might drive me round the bend.
Yeah.
4 volumes, a year and a bit's worth of reading I can handle. But yeah, the Burton version is the bawdiest version, apparently. So make of that what you will, Alan. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, James, again, and
Thank
we'll
you,
be
Gab.
back next month to
Mm.
talk Nights 208 to 277.
What's up with that bird? We'll find out.
Thank you all. Bye.